she told me, you're not seeing your son at all.
He showed up unannounced.
He went to his car to grab a hammer and busted my living room windows. He threatened me and my son's life, so that's why I did not want him to come near me or my son.
No, ma'am, not whatsoever.
So you went over there even though she told you not to come over?
This is Judy Justice. Savaz Carter is suing his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, for car damage and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning, Kevin.
Case number 1182, Carter versus Sperling.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, you and Miss Sperling have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
And based upon the calendar year, that child must be a little over a year old now.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
It's a boy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank God.
Well, you also had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And that daughter is not the child of the defendant, but with another lady.
Correct.
With whom you also don't live.
Right.
Do you have any other children?
Yeah.
How many?
4 total.
How old are they?
7, and 1 and 1.
7?
Yeah.
And are they twins?
No.
So they have two
Separate
that are
mothers.
7. Their mothers are different.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you have 2 7s. Go ahead.
And 2 1s.
And 2 1s, also not with the same mother. They were
Right,
not.
just one
What?
with the defendant.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Domino's, and I do the voiceovers.
Do voiceovers for what?
It's content,
Explain that to me.
like a TV show.
Okay, well then you're going to have to speak up and slowly, because if you do voiceovers, you want to project yourself, right?
Right.
Who do you live with now?
Currently live with a friend.
Male or female?
Male.
According to you, an incident happened about a year ago that involved the defendant.
Yes.
You each have very, very different versions of that event. You're the plaintiff. It is your allegation that the defendant assaulted you seriously.
Yes, precise.
Which caused serious injury on October 10th of 2020.
Yes, precise.
I'd like you to tell me your version of the events.
Yes.
She has a version that is markedly different.
Yes. So October 10th, I was had received a phone call to go to a defendant's house. She wanted.
You got a phone call from her.
Yes. She wanted me to drop off some money, but I refused to drop off money if I couldn't see my son.
Had you been having difficulty seeing your son in the past?
But prior to that incident, it was on and off. And then after the incident, it got better.
Okay. Your son was 3 months.
Right.
She called you. She said, I need some money for the baby.
Right.
You said, I'm not going to give you money unless I can see him.
Yes.
If she let you see him, you were prepared to give her money.
Yes, I'm prepared to take him with me too.
Well, I don't know if did she want you to take him with you?
But that was my standards.
Oh, so not only did you want to see him,
Yeah.
you wanted to see him outside of her presence.
Yes, precisely.
That's okay. I'm not finding fault with that.
Yes. I had my daughter at the same time.
So you had one of your 7-year-olds?
Yeah.
Just one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what did she say to you?
It was more majority of the fact she didn't want me to. She didn't want to be in the presence of the baby at the same time.
No, you have to tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I told her I wanted to see my son if she wanted to get some money. She told me, you're not seeing your son at all. And I told her I was going to come over her house and come pick him up because we had prior talked.
Just a second. So she said you're not going to see him.
Right.
And you said I'm coming over anyway.
Right.
Okay. About what time of the day was this?
This is a little bit afternoonish.
Around?
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, afternoon is also 4 o'clock. But this was about 12 or 1.
Right.
Okay. So you went over there even though she told you not to come over.
Right.
And you drove over with your daughter.
Precisely, yes.
Does she live in a house or an apartment?
Apartment.
First floor, second floor?
It was first floor. But I also want to know, prior to me coming over, it was a day before, she had told me I could get him, so she had changed her mind overnight.
Okay.
So I didn't know that.
Without going any further, is what he says correct so far?
No.
Well, then let's pick up your version of what happened just until that point. He says you had agreed the day before that he could see his son. Then you called him and you said, I want some money. He said, I'm not giving you money unless I can see my son. You said you're not going to see him. He came over anyway. What's your story?
So I had called him from work. I'm a chef, and I was working at the casino. I did ask him for $50 to help with the daycare fees for that week because it's $200.
Okay.
He
so you
said-
did ask him him for money?
Yes.
Was this on October 9th or 10th?
I asked him October 9th at night.
So you were working, called him the
Yes.
day before,
Yeah.
and asked him for money.
Yes.
And he said to you,
He said, unless I'm seeing you, he didn't ask to see his son. He said, unless I'm seeing you, I'm not giving you no money. I said, well, you don't have to see me. My brothers are at home. You can drop the money off to him. I didn't have sex with your brothers. I'm not giving them the money. I said, well, you could just forget the whole thing. I get it from my father. And that's when he popped up at my house.
the next day,
Yes.
were you home?
Yes, I was. I was cleaning.
Okay, well, slight variation, but I got it so far. He showed up unannounced.
Yes.
Go. Your version.
To my understanding,
Just a second. Now you get to the house. Your 7-year-old daughter is in the car. You leave her in the car
yes.
alone. This was in October.
Yes.
In what city?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Was she in a car seat?
She's old enough, so no.
So the answer is she was not in a car seat.
No, ma'am.
Was she in a seatbelt?
Yes, she was in the seatbelt.
So you left her in the car and you went to the plaintiff's door,
Yes.
step by step.
I went to the plaintiff's door and she opened the door and I told her I'm here to get Bryce and she said, "Where's my money?" I'm like, "I gotta go see the son first." And she's my son is in the kitchen, so she's at the door. I see my son and she's like, "Yeah, he right there." And I'm like, "Let me get him." She's like, "Nah, no, wish you would step in." So I'm like,
No. Slowly. I have to make this mental picture for myself. Slowly. You're at the door. You lean in.
Yeah, I leaned in.
You see him in the kitchen.
Yeah, and it's best.
You said, "I'm going to go get him."
She saw me looking like I wanted to go get him. She's like, "Yeah, he right here, and I wish you would come get him." And I stepped in the house.
She said,
Yeah,
"I wish you would come get him."
yeah.
Okay.
So I stepped in the house. And when I stepped in the house, she slammed the door behind me and
How did she slam the door behind you?
like welcomed me in the house and slammed the door. And then next thing you know, we walk a little bit towards the center of the living room. And then I just got smacked and popped in my head and nose for a few times.
So she hit you.
Yes, a few times. And I started bleeding a little bit on the ground, on the floor.
Okay. Did she say anything when she hit you?
It was just more antagonizing me.
No, just antagonize is a word that doesn't describe an act.
Right.
So what did she say when she hit you?
She told me, what was all that stuff you was talking on the phone? And I told you
What was all that stuff you were talking on the phone?
Right.
Did you know what she was talking about?
No, because all I had told her was I was coming to get my son, and she told me I couldn't get him, but from my understanding, you told me I could get him yesterday, so I was going off the actions of still getting him the next day, so that's all she was telling
So
me.
she comes over,
Yeah,
she lets you in the house,
Right.
closes the door.
Right.
Meanwhile, your 7-year-old is alone in the car,
right,
and you're in there. You say she hits you a couple of times, causing you to bleed from someplace,
the nose.
the nose. And then what happened?
She reached for a glass jar, like a heavy glass jar, and tried to swing on me with it. But I had blocked her hand from actually connecting with my face or whatever particular degree she was to effectively hit me with. So next thing you know, I threw the glass jar on the couch and I ran towards the door.
So you grabbed the glass jar out of her hand.
Yeah, as she was swinging it. Yeah.
You threw it on the couch.
Yes.
And went towards the door.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I ran out the door, running towards my car to go get in my car to leave her house. And I get in my car and she's chasing me down with the glass jar. And she started.
You got in the car.
Yes.
Did you close the door?
Yeah, the car bashed the windshield in. And I'm like sitting there in shock that she blasting the windshield in. And I stick my hands out the window to try to stop her because she's like right there by the mirror. And next thing you know, my hand gets caught in the action of her bashing the windshield in and tore some tendons and some nerve damage.
And your daughter is in the car.
Yeah, she's witnessed me running towards the car right along with my witness here.
Did you see what happened after she was chasing him?
After I seen him getting chased, he ran into the vehicle. I just seen something just getting swung at the windshield. I just seen him put his hand out. All I heard was an ah. And then next thing you know, just spurred off.
Savaz Carter claims his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, owes for car damage and an assault. Timani is countersuing for harassment, claiming Savaz threatened her.
Now, did you make a police report?
I made a hospital report when I went to the
I'd
hospital.
like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the 10th, you went to the hospital.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay, I mean, you read this report, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, the nurse says patient states his baby mama attacked his car as he was attempting to leave and she broke his driver's side window. And then the chief complaint, and this is provided by a physician's assistant, patient, that's you, 27 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
27 years old, 4 kids, none of whom live with you.
No, ma'am.
Nice. 27 years old, presents for an evaluation of multiple lacerations on the fingers and wrists. Patient changes his story multiple times throughout the history taking and also provides very vague details. He initially tells me he was sitting in a car holding a glass cup and his girlfriend came out and threw another glass cup at him and he went to protect his own glass cup, causing them to collide and both break showering glass on his right hand. He later states that the girlfriend broke his driver's side window, which is what caused the cuts. He denies any alcohol or drug use.
Yeah, I don't understand how that nurse got my words misconstrued with me having a glass cup at the same time.
I don't know. I wasn't there. Patient stated it occurred 6 o'clock this afternoon. You said it occurred between 12 and 1.
I went to the hospital at 6 o'clock because I had to drop my daughter off. This incident happened, and then my brother came and picked me back up, and then he took me to the hospital around 5, 6 o'clock.
Where did you drop your daughter off?
Back home to her mother.
How far? At 1:15.
No, I went to the hospital later on around
Why?
5. Because I had to wait till my brother got back. Because he had took my car to go drop my daughter off. Because he was in the car with me.
This brother?
Oh, no. This is the witness that was down the street. He's a neighbor.
A neighbor of hers?
Yes.
Would you stand up, please? Tell me your name.
Brandon Kelly.
Mr. Kelly, do you know the plaintiff?
I know of him. Been around him, seen him a few times.
You know the defendant?
Same thing, seen her a few times around the neighborhood.
Do you remember October 10th?
Vaguely, but yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what you saw about 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
It was kind of a blur a little bit because the day before it was my birthday, so I kind of partied a little bit. But as I was outside, me and my friend...
Outside of your house?
Of my house because it was her house. But we was outside, and you know, typically it's like baby mom, baby dad drama, people yelling and stuff. But in this scenario, there was a lot of commotion. So I'm like, wow, so it just happened to see him getting chased.
You saw him being chased?
Yes, ma'am.
By whom?
By the defendant.
Where was he going?
He was running to his vehicle.
You saw that?
Yes, ma'am. I seen him running out the house to the vehicle and to drive off because I thought the situation was funny because I didn't know if they were serious or not because stuff like that happens all the time. Not like with the glass and stuff like that, but just typical yelling back and forth, baby daddy and baby mom drama.
Did you see what happened after she was chasing him?
After I seen him getting chased, he ran into the vehicle. Like, you know, I just seen something just getting swung at the windshield. I just seen him put his hand out. All I heard was an ah. And then next thing you know, just spurred off.
He took off?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she do?
She just went back to the house. Like, it basically amped up, upset.
Did you report that to anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell me how he contacted you today?
Through Facebook.
Explain that to me.
Basically, you know, things go around in the neighborhood. My friend, she had the thing recorded on her phone.
She had what recorded on the phone?
But basically had the incident recorded on her phone.
The friend that you were with that day?
Yes, ma'am.
So she recorded the defendant chasing him to the car?
Yes, ma'am. Because she was out the window. Typical, like, viral moment, that's what I guess.
Did you ever see that video?
No, ma'am. But she put it on Facebook. I'm not really a Facebook person.
So your girlfriend put the video on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am.
This happened a year ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what name she uses on Facebook?
I'm not for sure. I could probably look it up.
Look it up.
Yes, ma'am.
I also have the evidence of the windshield, if you'd like to see.
I don't want to see anything yet.
Okay.
All right.
Got it? Would you hand that over to Sarah, please? Unlikely occurrence that you can actually find that. Worth a shot? Okie dokie. You have a whole different story about October 10th.
Yes.
And we're looking for the video. So before Sarah, who is very adept at what she does because she's a millennial, and that's what they do as a part-time job, did you follow him from your house?
No.
With a glass bottle in your hand?
No.
Did you swing a glass bottle at him?
No.
How was his hand injured on October 10th?
Actually, I got the pictures to prove that he shattered my windshield. I mean, not my windshield, my windows in my living room, and his blood is on them, on the picture. So
what you're telling me is that he came over to the house.
yes, ma'am.
On that day, because we all agree that he came over to the house uninvited.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me what he did, step by step, like I told him.
Okay, he came to the door. It was open because I was mopping, so I was letting my floor air dry. He had came in the living room. I told him he needed to leave my house. You didn't have permission to come in my house. My son was not in the kitchen. He was in the living room in his bassinet next to the couch. I said, my son's asleep. So I did push him. I did not punch him.
Just a second. So you put your hands on him?
Yeah, I pushed him out my
Just a
house.
second.
Yeah.
You put your hands on him?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get him out of the house?
No, he started yelling and screaming back and forth.
Okay. So you put your hands on him. He started yelling and screaming. And then what happened?
I told him I was calling my mother and my stepdad, and that's when he left.
And then what happened?
He went to his car, I guess, to grab a hammer and busted my living room windows. And that's how he got cut. The blood is on the window.
Okay, he busted the living room window.
Yes, ma'am.
And after he busted the living room window, did he leave?
Yes, he had skirted off. And then I told my mom, because it's actually her residence.
What happened next? Now he's outside.
I threatened to call the police, and I had called my mom. And when she got there, we had made a police report.
I'd like to see it.
I don't have it.
So you called the police, no police report. And
when she had pressed charges against him, he had to pay restitution.
okay, do you have any of those court documents?
No.
Were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window? See him here and around is not making videos, Mr. Kelly. Yeah, that's what he did say.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that he see him here and around, just like I see her here and around.
I got a message
Sit.
from Mr. Kelly.
That said,
Savaz Carter has accused his ex-girlfriend, Timani Spurs, threatened her and broke her window first.
were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window?
No, ma'am, not whatsoever.
Did the police question you about it?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
No, let's go back. Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that he paid for the window?
No, that was
Just a
between
second.
him and her. So no.
So you have no proof?
No.
Just a second. The answer is no.
No.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Where is she today?
She is currently sick right now.
So she's not here.
Yeah, she's not here.
No video posted from this time.
October 10th.
Damn.
It is old.
Do you know Mr. Kelly?
Actually, yes. I had got,
Just a second. Before October 10th, had you seen Mr. Kelly before? Just
yes, they have,
a second. The answer is yes.
yes.
When had you seen him before?
Him and him, they do videos together. They do music together. It's all over his and his Facebook.
I'd like to see it.
Gladly.
Before she shows it to me, Mr. Carter, is that true? That you and your witness, Mr. Kelly, do music videos together?
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and then?
Yeah.
Do you know that every now and then means that what you told me and what Mr. Kelly told me today was not true?
Excuse me?
What do you mean, excuse me?
No.
Excuse me was, do you know each other? Yeah, I know her like I know him. Have you ever made a video with Mr. Kelly?
No, ma'am.
No, Kevin. Have you ever made a video with Mr. Kelly?
No, Judge.
Have you ever made a video with Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Have
It
you
was-
sang a duet with Mr.
no.
Do you understand what I mean?
It was
You
not-
got what I mean, Mr.
It
Kelly?
was never a music video.
What? Just a second.
Yes, ma'am. May I say something, please? The video wise, like cameramans, we do that. But like, far as knowing personally, no. Like I said,
He
I
also
see
had
him.
texted me on
I
his
see
behalf.
him here in
before
the
Just a second.
That's why I say I see him here and around.
No, you
See her.
see him here and around is not making videos, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what he did say.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that he
I did.
seen him here and around, just like I see her here and around.
I got a message
Sit.
from Mr. Kelly.
That said,
Hi, what's going on? This is Brandon, which he stated his name. Savaz's brother, which is him. Savaz, he just got locked up. Can you call me when you get a chance? This is him.
But I'm not his brother. So what would I say, brother?
But they are best friends. He technically, when my son was born, supposed to be his godfather.
Just a second. Just a second. I got it. Lie to me once. We're done. Do you understand?
Excuse me?
To be declared legally the father of this child and ask for certain rights and responsibilities.
No, I asked for rights to stay away from her to stay away from me, not the child.
Just a second. Do you see your son?
Not right now, no.
Well, not right now. Right now we're in court. Do you visit with him?
No,
Does he
no.
come to stay with you?
Not lately, no.
When was the last time you saw him?
It's been a few months.
Where did you see him?
I took him to daycare and dropped her off back at home.
Is that right?
No, not technically, no. He did come and get me and my son for daycare, but we had gotten into an argument because he's not supposed to be in the daycare. He wanted to go in because it's family owned by my family. So he kicked us out the car. He did not take us to daycare.
But you were
Yeah, I was in his car, yeah.
Yeah,
He did
you
not
let him go. Case is dismissed. We're done. You don't come here, sir, and you don't bring a witness here that lies to me. Do you understand? And just
About
like
Dick.
the physician's assistant said, he kept telling different kind of stories. He was vague as to sort of what happened.
Excuse me?
Two glasses, one glass, a windshield. If somebody came after me and cut me, sir, so that I had to have hand surgery, I guarantee you there would be a police report. Guaranteed.
I wasn't presented for a chance to do a police report.
You've had a year.
I was going through stuff with her for a whole year.
Yeah, okay. We're done here. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
Court is adjourned.
I'm so happy because he was completely lying. The judge also saw that.
Man, just a bunch of bogus going on.
I'm pretty sure everybody saw that. His story kept changing.
You just seeing eye to eye. We was raised from different cloths. That's all I can really say.
Everything's about my child. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many other kids you got. My child is my main focus.
I get to see my child because I'm a family man. I like to have all my kids together. I really like to have a big family going on with me and her. But, there's a lot of differences going on.
It's time to stay strong for my son.
For the most part, I just hope I get to see my son.
Perfect example. The devil is in the detail. He told a perfectly credible story and then figured he would punctuate that story with a witness who added a few details to make it even more credible. And then you look up the detail. Something that never occurred to either one of these two geniuses that might happen. And you found nothing. You found her name.
Yep, her name and even a birthday tribute from that day, but no video, like he mentioned.
And the detail, well, do you know? Well, I know him from around, just like, do you know her? Well, just the same way I know her from around. Well, didn't you think she was going to say they make videos together?
Yeah, I think the doctor had it right the first time around from that report.
Right, he was
Inconsistent.
And another thing that my father used to say is, keep it simple, stupid. Perfectly credible. This is so foolish. Lucky we have technology.
Yeah.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You have no lease to his apartment. That's what you do as a grown-up. You didn't do that.
That's not true.
He held the apartment for you for 6 weeks for no money. You're a hustler, madam.
I'm not a hustler.
We are done.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah,
No.
you are.
No, I won't go. No.
This is Judy Justice. Kathleen Canley is suing apartment owner Ellie Bonarin for moving expenses, hotel costs, and storage fees.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1163, Gangley versus Benarin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gangley, interesting story. You were moving from Arizona to California,
Correct.
and you had a friend. I assume this was the mutual friend?
I have a very good friend. A friend of his is also.
Who was this?
This is my sister.
You knew the defendant through a mutual friend.
Exactly.
You were moving from Arizona to California with a son who was how old?
15.
And according to you, you wanted him to go to a good school, and you found out through this mutual friend that the defendant had an apartment in California, in an area where you wanted to live. You came to look at the apartment, and you came to look at the apartment, I believe, in June of this year.
Correct.
And you liked the apartment.
Yes.
And you settled on a rent.
Yes.
You negotiated the price of the rent. He wanted more. You wanted to pay less. How much was he asking?
He was
originally?
asking, I believe, $37.50.
Is that what you were asking, sir?
No, I was asking 45, and I said because she's a friend.
No, just a second. You were asking 45.
I was asking 45 for the apartment, but because through a friend, I said I'll give it to you for 4.
Had you rented the apartment before?
Yes,
To whom?
to a lady who moved to Utah,
How long had she been in the apartment?
3 years,
When did she leave?
2 months before this incident.
So she left relatively, so maybe in May.
Yeah,
And how much was she paying in rent?
38.
And you agreed with the defendant. You wanted 4. She says 37. I'm not sure I believe her. You finally fixed on 35, correct?
Yes,
Which is, according to you, $300 less than you were getting from your previous tenant,
correct.
who had been there. Well, that was nice of you. $3,500. How much?
$3,500. So the total due would have been $6,000.
I'm going to do this my way.
Okay. Sorry.
You were supposed to provide him with security deposit when you saw the apartment in July, because now you are, if you want to take the apartment, you want him to stop showing the apartment.
This is before I got to LA. Yes.
You went to see the apartment for
In
the
June.
first time in June.
Yes.
And in June you said you'd take it.
Correct.
So you clearly wanted him to stop showing the apartment to other people.
We were done. Yes.
Great. And how much money did you give him in June then?
And I have the text messages.
That's a number. Just a second.
Well,
that's a number.
In June, I gave him nothing.
So in June, you gave him nothing. June, what did you come looking at the apartment? Because this is what it all
Okay.
comes down. This is what the case all comes down
Okay.
to, so that people aren't wondering out there what this case is all about.
On the evening of June 1st.
I'm speaking.
I thought you asked me the date.
No.
I'm sorry.
This is what the case is all about. In case anybody is wondering what the case is all about, Miss Gangley is suing the defendant for $10,000 because he reneged on an agreement to rent her an apartment. That's what you're suing him for your moving costs and everything else. That's what you're suing him for.
Correct.
You saw the apartment June 1st. You gave him no money.
Correct.
You signed no lease.
Correct.
You were moving into the apartment on what date?
July 15th.
Between June 1st and July 15th, how much money had you sent him?
$1,000.
On what date?
The date that I sent the money was 2 days after he requested it, and it was July 12th was one.
Well, usually when you go and see an apartment, Miss Gangley, and you're not a child,
Correct.
I haven't rented an apartment in a long time, but I have a pretty fixed memory. You go and look at an apartment, you say, I like it. You go with the person who was renting the apartment, you sign a lease, you give them a check, you give them the date when the lease is going to be signed, and then you have a signed lease, and he has his security deposit, first month's rent. Sometimes they require last month's rent. In this case, what were you supposed to give him? A month's rent and how much security?
I just tell from the beginning?
No.
Okay. Well, we didn't speak on.
Just a second. you came and looked at the apartment, and because he was a friend of a friend,
We talked
of
only
a
about the
friend,
rent.
of a friend of a friend of a friend, you gave him no money, and you asked him, you got there on July 15th, even though he gave you a rent that was less than what he was getting from his previous tenant. That's a pretty good deal. I asked you for a number. How much money were you supposed to give him for the apartment? How much security?
He requested 0 security deposit when I met him. He
I
told
asked
me in
you-
July that a $3,000 security deposit.
$3,000 and your month's rent,
Correct.
which was $3,500.
Correct.
So $6,500 altogether, and you had already given him $1,000.
Correct.
So you owed him $5,500 that he agreed. Nice guy, so far, really nice guy. Gave you a cheaper rent than what was the going rate. That you understood because you moved into Beverly Hills. He was giving you less rent than what he was getting from his former tenant. He held the apartment for you for 6 weeks for no money. $1,000. No money. By the way,
He wasn't ready
just a
for it.
second. Just a second. He gave you the $1,000 back, by the way.
Yes.
Did you cash that check?
Yes, I did.
Oh, then you're one and done. When you went to Wells Fargo and got the check for $5,000, you went there knowing that you owed him $5,500.
Correct.
Miss Gangley, you're a hustler.
Kathleen Ganley claims apartment owner Ellie Benarin owes for moving expenses and hotel costs after refusing to rent his apartment after she paid him a deposit.
Now, I'm not finished yet. Then, according to you, you got there with your son from Arizona with a U-Haul and a mover, and you had with you a cashier's check for $5,000. Now, when did you get that cashier's check for $5,000?
July 14th.
Where did you get the cashier's check for $5,000?
Wells Fargo in Arizona.
Is that where you have your bank account?
Yes, it is.
And when you went to Wells Fargo and got the check for $5,000, you went there knowing that you owed him $5,500.
Correct.
Your excuse for that is that you were going to pay him the rest by some Zelle account.
Which is how he had
Just-
requested it.
No. Show me how he requested on July 14th. Show me how he requested payment by a Zelle account. I want you. That's a simple. Miss Gangley, listen. You're a hustler.
No, ma'am,
You're a
I'm not.
hustler. You're a hustler.
No.
What you could have done very easily was the day before you were there. You got there on July 14th when you went to Wells Fargo and got a cashier's check. You get a cashier's check for $5,500. That is as good as cash. Like that. Instead, you talked him down with the rent. Little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit.
May I
You
show
owed
you
him.
the
You
text?
owed him. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. You owed him. It's his apartment. He wants to rent it. He is in a position of wanting to rent his commodity. He had somebody who was ready, willing, and able, he thought, to rent that commodity. It's not that he had somebody else in the wings to rent your apartment. He was renting his apartment to you. You were, in my view, trying to get away with the $500 then. At that moment.
Why would I drive a U-Haul and pay all that money there to try to save $500? I would love to show you.
I would love to see, Kevin, I would love to see that on or about July 14th, he said to you, give me a cashier's check for $5,000 and pay the rest by Zelle, by some other commodity. It doesn't make sense.
This is the date
What's the date?
that he requested the deposit.
No. What's the date when he told you?
July
give me-
6th is when he requested the deposit
Just
by Zelle.
Just a second. July 6th, he requested the deposit by Zelle. Did you send it?
Zelle only allows
No, don't tell.
I sent the max possible on a day. Zelle only allows you to spend $500.
Who gives a rat's behind what they said to you, just like you went into Wells Fargo on the 14th of July, just like you went into Wells Fargo on the 14th of July, on July 6th, when he sends you, please send me the deposit, you go into Wells Fargo, you get a money order, a bank check, you put it in a FedEx, and you send it to him. You saw the apartment June 1st. July 6th, he said, all right, time to get off the dime. I'm holding the apartment. It's now a month. Please send me the deposit. So you say, I'll give him $1,000. I'll give him $500. That's what he's asking for. But then July 14th, when you went there, you were still $500. I'm not interested in looking at anything except that he said to you, when you got there July 15th, give me a cashier's check and a Zelle payment for $500. That's when you decided to do.
He responded to the text saying,
You're a hustler, madam.
I'm not a hustler.
And you are not getting $10,000 from this man.
You won't look at the evidence?
I'm absolutely going to look at the evidence. I'm telling you that you're a hustler.
Okay, well, here's the
I'm
evidence.
telling you you're a hustler.
Well, you're wrong, sir.
I'm telling
Ma'am,
you,
I'm sorry.
Kevin, you can get it. I'm telling you you're a hustler.
Please show her that.
Because on July 14th, when you went to Wells Fargo, I, as a normal person, knowing that he wanted a deposit on July 6th, I said, you know what? I'm going all the way there. I'm packing up my son. I'm packing up my U-Haul. And Wells Fargo is where I do my banking. They also have Wells Fargo here, so you didn't take out your last dollar. I'm going to get a bank check so he knows he has the money, because now he's been waiting for it for 6 weeks, and I'm going to give him a bank check for $5,500 because that's what I owe him. You didn't do that. You gave him $5,000. And I have to say to myself, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's like saying I have $5,000 in cash, and I'm going to give you $5,000 in cash, and I'm going to give you $500 in a note that I'm not getting right then and there. But I'm going to move my things into the apartment, and then I'm there. And then when I have the other $500, I'm going to give you the other $500. And in addition, when he said, listen, if this is the way I'm going to do business with you, you gave me $5,000 in a cashier's check, it's $500 short. I don't want to start with a tenant like this right away.
No, that's why we agreed to it ahead of time.
Here's your $1,000 back that you gave me. You took the check and you cashed it. And that was finished. He said, I don't want you as a tenant. You have a signed lease by both of you?
I have a signed, no.
No, so you have no lease. So, you see, if you're in Arizona and you want to send him his deposit that he wants over, and people do that all the time. They buy property in the mail, they buy property over email, they have DocuSign. You can do all that between June 1st and July 15th. You chose not to do that. You're not entitled to any money.
That's not true.
He's not responsible for your having to find another apartment which cost you more money. You're a grown woman, and if you saw an apartment that was a bargain, you hop on it.
Kathleen Ganley, after she paid a deposit. Ellie says he changed his mind and refunded her deposit.
Now, on what date did he send you the lease?
He sent me...
Just a sec. I'm going to go to you. On what date did you send her the lease?
July 10th.
You sent her the lease on July 10th?
10th.
Did you send it by email?
By email, and I told her to respond with the sign the lease and send it back. At least I acknowledge she got the lease. I didn't hear from her.
You have
So-
all the text there.
Can I see the email that you sent her with the lease? Do you have it with you?
I have it on my phone. Can I pull it off on my phone?
Yes. So when you got the lease, you changed it.
I made an edit, as I said in the text to him there.
So you changed it
Yes.
and initialed it.
Yes. And he didn't send it on July 10th.
When did he send it?
I gave him my email on July 13th.
Sorry, I apologize to the right 13. Yes, here is the email, here is the text, and I'll open it for you.
in the evening, the day before we were loading to move.
And I wrote, please acknowledge receiving it. Never heard from her.
We spoke on the phone, sir.
You're not entitled to any money.
That's not true.
Well, I'm telling you that you're not entitled to any money.
But you haven't heard my story or seen the evidence.
What I
have not.
What I'm telling you, madam, is the following. You have no lease to his apartment.
We had a verbal contract.
No, you had no lease to his apartment, and you accepted in satisfaction of having no lease $1,000, which is what you gave him, and you cashed it. And he's not responsible for your having to find another apartment which cost you more money. You had a responsibility. You're a grown woman. And if you saw an apartment that was a bargain, you hop on it. Say, I want my lease. I want to sign it. I want to give you the money that right now for it, so I know it's mine and I know it's held. That's what you do as a grown-up. You didn't do that. You had the perfect opportunity to get a cashier's check for $5,500 the day before you went there. And you didn't. And you modified the lease before he signed it. So you had no lease. You had no written lease when there was supposed to be a written lease. This wasn't a verbal month-to-month tenancy. This was not a verbal month-to-month tenancy.
No, it was not.
Right.
It was a 12-month lease.
That's a lease for a year or more has to be in writing. And I'm telling you, you did not have a written lease with him, and you failed to fulfill the terms of the lease by not bringing us a done.
No.
Court is adjourned.
We are
humor me
done.
to hear the story, please.
We are done.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah,
No.
you are.
Well, then there's a breach of contract,
Yes,
right?
microphone.
Because you told me you were going to hear the case.
I heard my
You did not hear.
Ma'am.
No, I won't go. No,
The case is over.
I'm not going.
The case is over.
Actually, I never got to speak. I'm not going. Well, I was very disappointed that I didn't get to explain the sequence of events.
I think she made the right decision. Judge Judy knows what she's saying.
Well, I'm extremely disappointed with her decision there.
When people born, they're a gift to the world. She was the opposite.
We started communicating again in July. I reached out to him.
She tried to get in with no money and not to pay the rent, I was assuming.
The deposit was not requested until the amount was never mentioned until the 10th of July.
The straw that broke the camel's back, the $500, she did a mistake.
I don't think he changed his mind. We had talked about it.
No, she say, here is 5,000 and I'll give you later another 500. And I said, I'm not accepting later 500.
We have a chain of communications. He knew I was coming.
She is a hustler.
So I'm just curious, would you have felt any different about the plaintiff being a hustler if she had not cashed that $1,000 check that he had refunded her for what she had paid towards her deposit?
I would still have thought that she was a hustler, but accepting the check back from him, I mean, if the check was given to secure, her argument was it was given to secure the apartment, even though it wasn't the full amount that was necessary that he asked for at the beginning of July, and she ignored him. But since she took the check and cashed the check, that says to me, his obligation to her is finished. The fact that she had to go and find another apartment could have been very easily rectified. This is a man, he's a landlord. He has a commodity from which he makes money, which probably costs him maintenance and taxes that he has to pay for every month that the apartment lays fallow. He agreed because of a friendship with a mutual friend to rent this woman an apartment for less than its going rate.
Yeah.
And he held it for a month.
For no money.
Really for no money. She got the lease. She made an alteration on the lease. She never sent it back. She never acknowledged that she had it. The day before she left Arizona, she went to the bank knowing that she owes him $5,500. And she took out a check for $5,000.
Weird.
And paid for a check for $5,000. You know, I've been in this business and heard these landlord and tenant things long enough to know once she moved her things into that apartment, that $500 hounded her for it for a couple of months, and then he would have said, all right, forget about it. She knew that. She knew that. That's what makes her a hustler. That check for $5,000, that cashier's check, instead of $5,500, says to me, hustler.
There.
And the icing on the cake is he said, listen, I don't want you as a tenant in a place that I really want to rent, and you're here, and all your stuff is here, so it's very easy for me to let you move in. But I know, I'm a smart man, if I take this $5,000, I'm going to have trouble with you ongoing. Complaints, rent, more complaints. What do I need this for? Here's your $1,000. I take it, I cash it, go find a motel, stay in it until you find an apartment. You're probably not going to find an apartment in Beverly Hills for $3,500. That's a 2-bedroom apartment, which is what he had. So when you do the wrong thing, of course I'm going to stand up for you. She did the wrong thing. He did the right thing, I think.
Yeah.
That he did the right thing. He bent over backwards to accommodate this lady because of a friendship with a mutual friend. And she was trying to get a little bit extra. Well, it came back and it bit her in the behind. And I was more than happy to be accommodating.
Are you a victim of a scam? Go to judyjustice.tv.
The pit bull, it came running at my dog, and before I could really react, he had a hold of his neck, and like he was just shaking him, and then I was yelling at him to stop.
Their pit bull grabbed onto your dog.
Yes.
Well, when I
Look at me. They have the capacity to kill you. Well, it's not an answer.
This is Judy Justice. Pamela Petrie is suing her former neighbors, Anthony Opalencia and Katie Molnix, for vet bills and emotional distress resulting from a dogfight.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 1172, Petrick versus Opalencia, Munich.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Petrie, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's his first name?
Zion.
Zion's 12.
Yes,
And you got him a puppy.
correct.
When?
May of 2019.
What kind?
I'm not quite sure.
Zion, would you stand up? Because even your mom wasn't a witness to this dog incident. Zion, what kind of dog did your mom buy you?
He's a Frenchie, and then, I believe a Terrier Falcon.
Do you have a picture of it?
Yes.
May I see it, please? When you say a Frenchie, you mean a French bulldog.
Yes.
And how much does he weigh, do you know?
Right now, he currently weighs 12 pounds.
An incident happened on the 15th of April.
Yes.
You weren't present during that incident.
No, Your Honor.
Would you change places with Zion? I want him to be right in the middle. Zion, you were out walking your dog. Dog's name is?
Tony.
You were walking him on a leash.
Yes.
At what time of day?
Like afternoonish.
Okay. Now, you're walking Tony, and he was on a leash. And what happened next?
Me and my friend, we were walking, going onto the trail, and then...
Okay, so you were with a friend.
Yes.
Explain to me where the trail is.
It's like if you go from my house, directly down from the lion fountain, and then you take a left, then that's how we were going onto the trail.
Where did the defendants live?
They
You have the
live-
pictures?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them so I can get some idea of what you're
Yes.
talking about.
So you can, Your Honor, so you can get a full visual. Zion was walking this
Hey, no. Zion, is this the complex where you live?
No.
Is this the complex where the defendants live?
Yes.
You live on the first floor or the second floor?
Second.
Second floor.
We did, yeah.
Okay. And this is the trail where you were going to walk with Tony. Don't shake your head. You weren't there. Do you understand?
Your Honor.
Otherwise, you could sit. As a matter of fact, it's better. Sit down. Zion, this is where you were going to walk with Tony?
Yes.
Did you have to pass the defendant's house in order to get to the trail?
Yes.
And your dog was on the leash?
Yes.
Tell me what happened as you passed their house.
So as I passed, me and my friend were going on a trail, and then from behind us, the pit bull, it came running at my dog, and before I could really react, he had a hold of his neck, and he was just shaking him, and then I was yelling at him to stop, I was in shock, and then by the time he stopped with his neck, he immediately moved by his thigh, and then he started gripping it, and then we were all yelling at him to stop, and then by that time...
When you say you were all, so I have you and your friend.
Yes.
Were either of these two people there?
Her.
You.
Yes, Your Honor.
She came after her dog?
Yes, she was there.
When their pit bull grabbed onto your dog, was she there?
Yes.
Was the pit bull on a leash?
No.
Was your dog injured?
Yes.
How did the pit bull finally let go of your dog?
A man was walking down the trail. He parked his dog. He had to punch the dog a few times, and then the dog finally loosened its grip.
He punched the pit bull?
Yes.
Did you know who the man was?
I think my mom got in contact with him.
Now you can stand up. Did you find out who the man was?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you speak with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you find his name?
There's a group called Neighborhood Group on social media for our community, and I had asked for the gentleman who stepped in and helped my son if you could please reach out to me. And he announced himself and who he was, and so we got together at that time.
Got it. Now, sit down. You weren't home at the time of this alleged attack.
No, ma'am.
Who was this?
It's my girlfriend, Katie.
Your girlfriend was home with your pit bull.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time I'm reading these papers, you were under house arrest.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And you were wearing an ankle bracelet.
Yes, I was.
And you live on the second, couldn't go out because you had an ankle bracelet on because you were under house arrest.
Yes, Your Honor.
The pit bull walked down the stairs by itself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were standing here when the dog ran out, was unleashed. By the time you got to where the dog had Zion's dog, tell me what you did
Yes,
to
Your Honor.
get the dog off Zion's dog.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, when I
Look at me.
When I
Don't look there.
Okay.
And make sure you know I know everything.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you're on the second floor. You've got an ankle bracelet. You're not allowed to leave the house, so you let the pit bull out by himself. He runs and attacks his dog. Do you either hear or see?
Neither, Your Honor. I was out there before before the attack even happened. I let
Now
him
look
know,
at me.
I let him know that that my dog was out there loose, and I was going to get I was trying to get him.
No, just listen to me. Just because you say it fast doesn't mean I miss it. You're on the porch.
Yes.
You let your dog out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's take it from there, step by step.
So I know.
Don't look over there.
I saw him walking his dog, and I went to let him know that my dog was out there, and I was
Just a
going to
second.
get him.
You saw him walking his dog
Yes.
with a friend
Yes, Your Honor.
on a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say you let him know, what did you do? Listen, what did you do? Don't cross your arms. What did you do or say to let him know?
I said, hey, my dog's out here loose. I'm going to
Hey,
get him.
no, let's go slow. Hey, my dog's out loose out here.
And I'm trying to go get him.
And you're going to?
Get him.
And when you say that, you're on the porch.
No, I'm not on the porch at this point. I'm going to get my dog. That's what I'm doing.
Well, why would you let the dog out if you were going to get the dog?
I didn't think I would have to go get the dog. He comes back normally, so I didn't think I was going to have to go get him.
So it is your routine to let the dog out.
Not only when on the bracelet.
Just a second.
Only when I was on the bracelet.
In what month were you placed on the bracelet? No, don't look at him. May what?
I don't know the exact date, Your Honor.
You don't know the date that somebody put an ankle bracelet on you? How old are you?
34.
How many times have you had an ankle bracelet on?
One.
Well, then I would know the exact date when somebody came and slapped an ankle bracelet on me.
I remember the date I got it off, but I don't.
On.
I know. I don't remember the exact date that I got it on.
What date did she get the ankle bracelet on?
I'm not sure.
What sure is that she says because she was wearing an ankle bracelet, that's the reason she let the pit bull out alone.
Correct.
Well, then it becomes important because she said he usually comes back. That means she's let the pit bull out alone before. Now do you understand? 200 people died in your state as a result of pit bull attacks.
That's a sad situation.
Yeah, just a second. So you have to be a moron to allow a dog like that around children. You have to be a moron.
Pamela Petrie claims her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, owe for vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony is countersuing for threats and harassment.
Okay, what county do you live in what state?
King County, Seattle, Washington.
Whose pit bull is it?
Mine.
How long have you had it?
About 2 years now.
How long has she been your girlfriend?
About 3 years now.
What kind of work do you do?
I was a maintenance supervisor.
In the complex where you live?
Not that complex, but another property.
Did you get fired?
Yes.
Is that because you had a pit bull?
No.
Why?
Why? Because of her constant harassment, calling corporate.
Are you allowed to have a pit bull?
Yes.
Are you?
I was, yeah.
Let's see. King County.
I'm looking into
Your Honor.
Just a second.
So I know January 1st of 2020, the state of Washington undid their initial ban on pit bulls outright. So pit bulls were allowed in the state of Washington and counties were not allowed to ban them outright after January 1st of 2020. But I'm on the Kings County government website to see if there's anything specific.
So when you got the dog, because you said you've had the dog for 2 years, pit bulls were banned in your state. You know how much it takes to ban a dog, to get that through a legislature, to ban a dog? And I don't know why Washington undid the ban, but they did in January. But when you got the dog was a banned dog. And I don't know why you think, because the girlfriend knows she let the dog out. She says, I let the dog out, and I've done it before. Usually comes back. I told him, hey, my dog's out loose. And why you would think that an unmonitored dog, you as the owner are not responsible for all their vet bills is mind-boggling to me.
I never once said I wasn't responsible for the vet bill.
Oh, well then what are we doing here? You said in your answer, we agreed to split them 50-50 and I paid my half. Why would they split the vet bills with you 50-50 if it's all your fault? Well, it's not an lazy. And instead of walking the dog on a leash, a dog that can cause significant damage because the dog might have just as well attacked the child as the dog.
Dog would never attack a child.
Would only attack another dog. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I have
You
pictures
want
of
me
my
to
dog.
show you?
My
do you
dog
want
around other dogs, around kids.
Well, let me tell you.
It was the actions of that dog.
I want to tell you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have drawers full of letters from grandparents and parents who say, my pit bull is wonderful, I thought. And then one day, it turned. And when a dog that weighs 10 pounds or 12 pounds turns on you and snaps at you, I have a dog that weighs 4 pounds. If I annoy her and she's sleeping and I wake her up and she nips me, which she hasn't done, smart, I would get hurt a little bit. But when a pit bull attacks somebody, they can kill them. And if you choose to have a dog like that and you're a grown man, that would be on you. And if girlfriend over here decides that that's okay, she's a grown woman. But when you subject children to your dog, you're making them take a risk that they didn't ask for. Why would you subject a child, yours or anybody else's, from an animal that's capable of causing serious physical injury? Read the papers. There's a list of dogs in most states that insurance companies won't even insure your house if you have a particular breed of dog. Why do you think they do that? They're in business to make money. And all you pit bull owners out there, I've heard the hate mail. Don't bother. I don't read it.
There's a lot of bad owners out there.
I'm sure that there are terrific pit bull pets that are wonderful. They have the capacity to kill you. They have been known to kill you. I never knew anybody that got killed by a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie or a Chihuahua. Never. But if you go on Google and find out how many deaths and serious physical injuries were caused in the last year by pit bulls, I tell you what we're going to do. Sarah's going to look at it. I've never looked at the number. Don't speak. What you're supposed to do is put a leash on your dog and get your behind out of the house and walk the dog. Because there's no question in my mind that you and boyfriend went out downstairs to the grass area because you actually went out of the house. They didn't come and arrest you for leaving the house, did they, when you ran outside after your dog? No, they one of these grass areas that's right near your house to relieve itself. But you were too lazy. Do we have a number?
Well, it looks like out of 430 fatal dog attacks, 185 were caused by pit bulls in the state of Washington.
Oh, God.
Not even half.
Just...
The life.
You know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are, you idiot? Do you know how many hundreds of breeds of dogs there are? So practically 50% of the deaths in the state where you live from dog attacks were pit bulls. I want you to look and see how many dog deaths in the state of Washington were caused by chihuahuas in the same period. And your counterclaim for harassment is dependent upon this number. Because if this number is more than 0, I will actually entertain your counterclaim for harassment. Otherwise, I'm tossing it.
Well,
that's
between
crazy.
2005 and 2018 in the entire United States, 2.
From a chihuahua.
Appreciate
For
that.
the entire United States.
I'll take it.
From 2005. 2005?
Until
From 2005. You'll take what?
It's more than 0, what you just said.
Oh, that I'm going to hear your counterclaim. Do you understand? 200 people died in your state as a result of pit bull attacks.
And that's a sad situation.
Wait, just a second. So you have to be a moron to allow a dog like that around children. You have to be a moron.
I'm not a moron.
Oh, absolutely. Now you have a counterclaim for terroristic threats, loss of employment, moving expenses, and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose? Other than mine.
Pamela Petrie is accusing her former neighbors, Anthony Opulencia and Katie Molnix, of refusing to pay vet bills after their pit bull attacked her son's dog. Anthony says Pamela threatened to shoot their pit bull.
Now, can I see your vet bills, please? Now you can stand up. What's the balance that he owes on the vet bills?
Currently, right now, he paid a total of $780 with a remaining balance of $289.
Why did you stop making the payments?
Because I got fired because of her.
Oh, good. $289. Okay, now you have a counterclaim for terroristic threats, loss of employment, moving expenses, and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose? Other than mine. Other
Mine
than
and
mine.
hers.
You have to allowed a dog off leash because she was lazy and she let the dog go out and the dog attacked another dog. And you recognized your fault because you paid the vet bills to your credit. You paid the vet bills until you said you got fired. The suggestion is you got fired because of her.
It's not a suggestion.
So, just a second. You had a pit bull in the house. She reported it to whomever. animal control, the management company that you worked at.
Yes, ma'am.
She reported it, which is her right. Other than that, what are you complaining about? It's her right to report that because you maintained a dog in your house and your girlfriend let the dog roam free, not once, but according to her, regularly, that she felt that that created a threat to everybody in the neighborhood. The truth is, so do I. So if you have something to show me about terroristic threats that she did, I'll be more than happy to see
I
that.
wasn't there when it happened. She was, so.
Terroristic threats.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the terroristic threats.
After the incident happened, and she came over to talk to me about it, she was just completely like freaking out, and I was trying to calm her down, but she's telling me that she brought her gun over with her to shoot my dog in the head, and like
she was going to shoot your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a gun?
I did not see a gun.
Okay. Next. What's next?
What's next is that she continued to call me, separating me from the work I needed to do almost daily. At least every other day, she's texting me, calling me. What are you gonna do about this bill? Where's my money at? I stopped answering her, and she starts corporate and calling my management company and harassing multiple people on the board there. So they're calling me, telling me to try to smooth the situation out, do what you can to. So okay, I'll do that. But even though I did, she still kept calling. Still, it wasn't good enough for her.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the remainder of the vet bill, which is $289. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I'm irate right now.
I just want to say I've been watching Judge Judy for a long time, and I knew that coming here, that my case would be heard and justice would be prevailed. Thank you, Judge Judy.
She called the animal control, I think it was like a few days later or a week later or something.
Our dog, he's an all-white dog, so he was just full of blood.
The dog wasn't there by then.
We'd
already gotten rid of him.
You should have your dog on the leash. There's not much to really say about it.
It was scary.
Want our dogs being hurt, vice versa. Just please leash your dog up.
You know, I might have to adjust that number a little bit. As I kept looking for the fatalities caused by dogs, there's so many different accounts and different numbers. But one consistent thing from all of the accounts is that pit bulls did account for a majority of fatalities from dog bites and dog interactions.
It's been my experience here that those people who have dangerous dogs, and there is a couple on that dangerous list, have to be really mindful of the fact that if an animal, and it is an animal, has the capacity to kill, it doesn't mean that it intentionally does that. I mean, if you're a homeowner, and if you can't get homeowners insurance or renters insurance if you have a particular breed of dog, I would say to myself, doink, there is a reason that insurance companies that are in the business of making money, they have done the math. They understand that eventually they're going to pay out on a claim. So they say, you know what? You want to have that dog? Either you're going to pay a double premium or we won't insure you. And I would say to myself, as a rational human being, there are over 200 breeds of dogs. Find another breed.
Yeah.
And I say that even though I regularly get this onslaught of vocal mail. So don't bother. Don't send it. I don't read it. That's my opinion. You're entitled to yours. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.